That's done.
Very comfortable. There we go. It is 6:30, so I will call to order the general meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Sandwich Public Library District on Tuesday, November 11th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Any additions, deletions? Oh, let's start with roll call. How about that? Jen?
Here.
Heather?
There.
Nancy?
Here.
Jane?
Here.
Matthew, I am here, and Barb, our director, is here. Any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we will move to our audit presentation from Kim Bird of Hopkins and Associates. Thank you, Kim, for being with us.
I don't need one, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe all the extras. Thank you, Kim. Do you want me to stand right now, right here?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, my name's Kim Bird from Hopkins and Associates. This is the most recent audit, so this would be as of June 2025. I usually just kind of go through it, but if you have questions as I'm talking, just please feel free to kind of ask.
Sure. Because I can't read it, am I able to get it electronically?
Yeah.
I'll forward it over
Okay.
to you, Heather.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so the first couple things I'll just kind of talk about in the very beginning of the audit is going to be the audit opinion. So that's on pages 1 and 2, and that's stating in here that the financial statements are presented fairly. So there aren't any material findings or adjustments or anything like that that we need to point out to you. And then I usually kind of talk about some comparisons to the prior year, kind of letting you know where you're at or where I think you're at. So I'm gonna skip pages 3 and 4 because that's everything combined and it's just a little too much at once, but pages like 5 and 6, this is gonna be broken out among your different funds that you're aware of what you have. I'll just kind of briefly talk about changes in overall change in cash among across all the funds. There is an excess of revenues, meaning your increase in cash was about $38,000 at the end of the fiscal year. And then if you were to look on the next page or the rest of page 5, there isn't really a whole lot there to talk about because you have minimal like accounts payable or things like that. There is debt, but there's nothing really else to point out. I just usually like to point out the change in cash. Page 6, this is going to give really high level again revenues and expenditures, and I did an extra little work paper that I kind of put in here, but I'll just kind of show you at the end of the year. If you look at the bottom of page 6, this is where you can see that change in across the funds. So I think it's important to point out here that especially your general fund had an excess of revenues over expenditures, and that's always important. Kind of the fund you want to make sure, obviously that's basically your operating fund. So it's always good to have access in that fund. Other questions on that? Okay. I did loosely talk in the back this extra page, and I'll send you a copy of this too, because I didn't send that. It's just kind of like a comparison of the past 3 years. I think it's always, this isn't like an audit statement in here, but it's pulled directly from the past 3 audits. I always kind of like to look at comparisons of revenues and expenses over the past couple of years, and now that we've done it 3 years, it's just kind of a good spot to look. You can see where your biggest chunk of revenue is going to be your property taxes, and that's going to usually increase every year. The only other thing to point out here in your revenues is going to be your replacement tax, which you know has been on the decline. During the COVID years, that really shot up to a significantly higher amount. And it's kind of contracting back to what it was pre-COVID. So it's not necessarily a revenue loss. It's just kind of going back to what it used to be a while ago. As far as the rest of the revenues, there's not really a whole lot there to talk about. The last thing I kind of just look at is your expenditures the past couple of years. This again is going to vary depending on a lot of times capital outlays and projects that you have. Your operating expenditures, if you want to look kind of the top section there, your salaries or payroll taxes, those have been a little bit on the increase the past year. I've kind of seen that across the board though, to be honest, everywhere, especially I think all my libraries this year, it seems like wages have had to kind of catch up. So we've seen salaries increasing and sometimes I'm depending too, but there's not a whole lot other that I wanted to point out here. This past year, you kind of had a little bit higher of capital. You had, I think it's like the mural project, which was paid for with a donation, but that donation came in FY 24, but that expense was out in this past fiscal year. So that might kind of be a little different, or not net to the same in the same year, but if you were to look there at the bottom of FY 25, you can see that excess of that 38,077 across all the funds. Does that make sense? Let me talk about anything further there, kind of just try not to go too fast there, but and then there you can see the past couple of years too, where your revenues and expenditures have landed. And then that bottom little section, I already kind of talked about that, but that's just showing you really quick your change in cash across the funds. The other thing I'll just say in that stapled thing is just another letter that we have to give you. This is like a management letter that we're just stating that we didn't have any issues in the process of the audit, like we had access to all the information we needed. We didn't have any disagreements or anything like that we need to point out to you. So that's all that letter is. Pretty standard. And then the rest of the audit, just kind of in the middle section, I won't go through it, but it's pretty nice to read through. It's a narrative section. It kind of talks about like your tax levy rate, bond payoff schedule, some pension stuff. I kind of recommend reading through that because that can be a little easier to read. And it's basically all your high, like main balances and your like capital assets, cash accounts, like that.
And what page is that?
Yeah, that starts on page 8.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yep. Are there any questions? I know last year kind of we talked about, I think, just kind of taking advantage of higher interest rates. And I think you've already been doing that, so I don't really have anything else to point out on that. Looks like a lot of that kind of rearranged a little bit this past fiscal year, so there's nothing there to really point out. But probably try and keep advantage of those higher interest rates.
Any concerns or recommendations you have, Pam?
No, I didn't. I just emailed a couple little notes about posting some small journal entries to post like interest at the end of the year that I forwarded on, but I didn't have any like major adjustments or anything like that. And no, and like I said, it seems like it's always kind of important to pay attention to that general fund. And that seems to be fine, so you had an increase there, so I wouldn't be too concerned really.
Thanks.
Sure.
How are we doing on our pension fund contributions? Are we okay with that?
Yeah, that's always gonna be, so IMRF, they issue a separate report, and that is in the footnotes there. At the end of this, well, they go on calendar year, so this is December 2024, but if you were to net all of the pension, IMRF figures a net pension liability, and then they also have some deferrals in there, but if you were to net them, it would be, hold on, I gotta do the math, 110, you'd be at like $45,000 your liability as of December, which is close enough as far, like if that pension fund, what I would say simply, I think, is this, that pension fund closed, or, you know, if you cease to exist, you'd owe IMRF like $45,000 is what the actuaries have figured on that.
So our payment into it though is keeping us current.
Yes, yeah. And that's really not too bad to have that 45,000. Really isn't too
No,
bad.
it's not bad
No.
compared to the city.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be concerned with that either. And that's not really a figure we do, that's IMRF has their actuaries do this separate report, but the past couple years, it's really been pretty, most of them, because investments have been better off, so the liabilities have kind of gone down, it seems like.
How many years do we have left on our bond payments?
Still 2033.
Oh, okay, we're further than I thought. Oh, just, well, not 10 years left.
No.
I really like the three years of printout. I think that helps us to see some comparisons, and I like that. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, and it's not, some of it's not as detailed like as the rest of your chart of accounts is, like you have more categories in like your building in that, but I think it's kind of enough that you get an idea of where. You know, like your building's broken down probably into like landscaping and, 10 other accounts, but I kind of try to do the bigger expenses broken out separately and then kind of lump together some of those other ones.
Any other questions or any clarity you want from Ken? Need more time to look through anything?
And also, if you're looking through it, you can always reach out to our office too. You have my contact information. If you're kind of reading through it later, you have questions, that's no
Yeah,
problem.
so if we just got it tonight.
Yeah.
any Questions.
Sure.
That's why I didn't put an action item on the agenda to approve it or accept it tonight, because I wanted you guys to have the month to review it. And if you have any more questions, we can reach out to Ken. And then we'll put it on the agenda to accept next month.
Yeah, if I had looked for it, let's see.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Very good. Thank you.
Kim?
Okay.
Thank you, Kim.
Have a good night.
Appreciate you coming out.
Yeah.
Right. We will move now to public comment. So a few guidelines before we begin. Reminder that all comments should be addressed to the whole board rather than to any individual trustee. Neither the director nor the board is expected to respond. This is your time to speak. To promote decorum and mutual respect, members of the public are asked to refrain from displays of approval or disapproval, such as applause or laughter, when a speaker is addressing the board. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. A trustee of the board will keep time. Tonight, that will be Jen. Please wait for her signal to begin so that you get your whole 3 minutes. And it is the responsibility of the board representative alone to notify someone when their time has expired. If the speaker does not give the floor back when their time is expired, the chair will remind them that they are out of order. It would also be out of order for another member of the public to call for that speaker to stop. Please refrain from speaking before, during, or after someone else's public comment and allow the chair to moderate. The chair does retain the right to stop any speaker who uses profanity or abusive language during public comment. If the speaker has a request of the board, that should be made within the allotted 3 minutes. Right, we'll begin with Elsie Morrissey.
Go ahead. Well, as you know, today is Veterans Day. And it's a day that we can be especially proud of our country and the people that have served our country and the people that have sacrificed their lives both in combat, and after combat, have died from PTSD. And we should remember them. And one way we can remember them, I was listening to the radio today and a veteran was on the radio and he said that he gets asked all the time, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. And he said that the best way you can thank a veteran for his service is by being the best American person that you can be in serving your country. And that was kind of overwhelming, that it's really on us to show respect and love for our country. And it's a good thing, okay? And one way we can do that, and we have a wonderful flag here in our room that we meet here, and so we should start the meetings of the library board with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'd like to invite everyone here who wants to recognize their country and their veterans and Veterans Day and be proud of our country, to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And next we'll hear from Rebecca Johnson.
Hey, guys. Okay, thank you. Well, first, let me say thank you for serving. It's a lot of work, a lot of reading, and it's selfless. Most people don't come to tell you all the good things you're doing. They come and yell at you for what you're not doing. And I can attest to that as a board member on DeKalb. But I'd also like to request that you guys consider putting the pledge on your agenda. It means a lot to a lot of people, as pretty much everybody I know personally has someone who's either died or is in service to this country. So being on boards, you're also serving your country in a different way, but you are serving the constituents here. So we all appreciate that. And I did write a letter, I did submit it, but I'm going to read it aloud for the people who are here. My name is Rebecca Johnson. I am your DeKalb County Board Representative. I am writing a request that the Sandwich Public Library include the Pledge of Allegiance in their monthly agenda at the start of each meeting. As a public entity taking public funds to run the library, we, the public, would like to request that the board take a moment of their time to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. It's an honor and a privilege to serve in any capacity for this great nation, and it would mean a great deal to the public whose tax dollars you benefit from, to honor our flag and honor all of those who have fought and died for the privilege with which you serve. As a civil servant, we do hold you to a higher standard in this community and look to you to be leaders for this community. As leaders, I would expect that you would lead by example and show honor and respect where it is due, especially on Veterans Day. I'm kind of surprised. I'll continue. This is quite a simple thing to do that would mean a great deal to many. Your consideration is requested. Particularly, I request that one of you Noble Sandwich Library Board members put it on the agenda for discussion and a vote, hopefully resulting in it being a permanent item to start your meetings. And on a personal note, I have worked with many of you in other capacities. We are friends and neighbors, and it's my great honor and privilege to represent Sandwich in DeKalb County, and I ask this of you as such. So thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, next we hear from Jim Martyr.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Martyr from Oswego. I'm here with fellow patriots from Sandwich here on Veterans Day at the library board meeting to recite the pledges we just did with Elsie Morrissey. As a former Oswego Library Board member, I'm here to respectfully encourage you to reinstate the practice of reciting the pledge as I did when I served with President Terry Tamblyn of Oswego. I'm sure some of you know who Terry is. I would encourage you to reach out to him and ask about that. But it's a simple thing right here. You have additions, deletions, changes to the agenda. I would submit that we always did ours immediately after roll call. A simple motion by one member, a second by another. You guys can have a discussion about it and you can add it to your day. The other thing I noticed in your agenda for tonight is you have a member resigning, and it looks like you might be appointing someone in the same meeting later. I would encourage you not to appoint somebody until you've notified the public and ask for folks to submit applications for that. Thank you for your time and appreciate your service.
Thank you, Jim. Next we'll hear from Becky Cummins.
Hello, so yeah, Veterans Day is a pretty monumental day. I come from a long line of veterans. I had a relative in the Civil War. We're not sure what side they fought on because they were getting paid to take a rich person's place for that job. My grandfather fought in World War I. My dad fought in World War II. My Uncle Bill fought in World War II. I have two nephews that served. One is still serving. My brother-in-law served in Vietnam. So I appreciate their sacrifices because it gives us the ability to make our own decisions and to, be Americans as we see fit. Today, I'd also like to bring up that, yesterday, Kim Davis, or a couple days ago, the woman who decided as county clerk of Rowan County in Kentucky that she wasn't going to allow gay marriage to happen in her county under her. This is a woman who was married 4 times and she's divorced now again. So it's a nice standing to me from the US Supreme Court to allow a gay person or gay people in our country to become the best Americans that they can towards our country. As noted, if you are gonna consider the Pledge of Allegiance, I think you should consider all the different versions of the Pledge of Allegiance. The Bellamy salute I looked up was something that was said during the Pledge of Allegiance at first, where you extend your right hand out, your right arm out with your hand extended. And that was obviously stopped for obvious reasons. But the original pledge says, I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So there's a lot of different ways of doing things, so. And I know you guys will do what's right and you guys will do what is the proper thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Next, we'll hear from Stephanie Nissa. Nissa?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Stephanie and I'm a founding member of the library advocacy group LEAR, which stands for Library Inclusivity, Rights, and Empowerment. Some of the work we do at LEAR includes researching library issues and the ways in which culture wars are presenting in public libraries. I mention this as I've been tracking the board meeting engagement at this particular library for well over a year. I'm sure you've all seen me here before. And I've even used Sandwich as a case study in presentations on these topics. I know there have been quite a few public comments in recent months and tonight asking for the library to adopt the Pledge of Allegiance before each board meeting. I think civic engagement is of the utmost importance, and I applaud anyone who makes a good faith effort to get involved in their local community. I'm also glad that people feel so strongly about patriotism, books, and our First Amendment rights, but I have to respectfully disagree that beginning board meetings with the pledge is the right path forward. Moreover, I believe that these public comments reflect a larger pattern. Once one culture war issue is raised, the next is often not far behind. We've seen this at Sandwich here with concerns about the LGBTQIA+ displays, children's access to computers and web content, programming in partnership with local businesses and groups, and now the pledge. One common pattern I've observed in the past few years across many different libraries is the invocation of simple requests, framed as uncontroversial or common sense, but which often serve as opening moves into larger challenges to libraries' inclusive policy and practices. These demands may appear minor and neutral, but they carry undercurrents of exclusion. In fact, I think it's interesting how not saying the pledge is being framed almost as if this library is unpatriotic, which couldn't be farther from the truth. I just had a look at your lovely Veterans Day display out there, and I can see that you celebrate these kinds of events in the community. In other words, this is not just about the pledge, but rather about what kinds of voices are invited or excluded when public meetings begin with a ritual that emphasizes one form of allegiance over another. The research shows that once a culture war door is opened, it tends to swing wide. The comment last month that stated we shouldn't ban the pledge hints at this suggestion that dissent or non-participation is unpatriotic, or that representation is limited to those who publicly affirm one form of patriotism. In closing, I'd just like to mention that of all the libraries that I track and of all the board meetings that I watch, which is admittedly a lot more than any one person should, this board and its unwavering support of the staff, the director, and the community is doing everything right in terms of upholding the documents that have guided librarians for almost 100 years, including the Library Bill of Rights and the ALA Code of Ethics. So thank you for modeling what a supportive board should do when these disruptors continue to show up.
Thank you, Stephanie. And lastly, we'll hear from Emily Porter.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emily, and I'm also a founding member of LEAR. There were a few public comments made last month, one in particular that I would like to respond to. A commenter stated that this is your choice, but at the end of the day, this is how we represent and respect our country. This commenter also pointed to the Banned Books Week display and said they don't understand why books are considered banned when the library still has them. and then concluded with, we shouldn't be banning the pledge. In response to this comment, I'd like to clarify the purpose of Banned Books Week. This longstanding tradition aims to promote the freedom to read and highlight instances of materials being banned throughout the history. Banned in this sense means that while the material may still be available in other institutions or for purchase, it has been removed or restricted in a specific location, such as at a library or a school. When we argue that books are never truly banned because they can be purchased on Amazon, we are forgetting that purchasing a book is not always feasible or possible for everyone. Libraries help fill that information gap for people who do not have the means to obtain information elsewhere. I'd like to now share some points from a Psychology Today article titled, "Have You Talked with Your Kids About Pledging Allegiance?" This article is from 2014, from September 3rd. Public libraries serve highly diverse communities. We all know that, we see that every day. Those communities are made up of different faiths or no faith, different political beliefs, different languages and cultures, and different experiences of inclusion or discrimination. Asking everyone to stand or recite the pledge can signal that the board meeting is aligned with a particular form of national identity ritual. If a public meeting opens with a ritual and some feel unable to join, it creates an atmosphere where certain community members may feel othered or excluded. The pledge essentially amounts to a loyalty oath, and the founding fathers most likely would have been aghast at the idea of citizens being expected to regularly recite a loyalty pledge. The same article emphasizes the voluntary nature of the pledge and that non-participation is not unpatriotic or disrespectful, even if it is framed as such each month during public comment here. If a board meeting begins with the pledge, it can create a social pressure to stand, recite, or align with the ritual, and can make people feel compelled to participate even if they are not comfortable doing so. Thank you to this board and all the Sandwich Library staff for your hard work in reinforcing the library's mission to engage the community by stimulating curiosity and enhancing knowledge, and upholding the library's values of community service, curiosity, and responsibility. And then I have a copy of that article if anybody wants to read it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for your comments and for being respectful to one another. I think that is one way that we can honor our veterans, is by being kind and respectful when we speak to one another. So thank you for that. We're going to move on to the business for this evening. We'll begin. I'll ask if I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which would include the treasurer's report and bills, the library account listing and investment portfolio, the minutes approval of the general meeting of the library board of trustees on October 14th, 2025, the department reports for October 2025, including the adult services, youth services, marketing outreach, and the statistics for October 2025. Do I have a motion of such?
I'll move. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Heather makes a motion. Anything that needs to be removed from the consent agenda?
Let's pull the account list now, please.
Okay, Jen would like to pull out the account listing. We'll pull that out.
I have a question on the minutes from last month. I don't know if it needs to be pulled out.
One moment here. Yes, let's go ahead and pull it out. And so we're going to pull out the minutes from October 14. Okay, anything else to remove from consent agenda? All right, we'll take a roll call for consent agenda, which I'm going to read again now. What that will include: the treasurer's report and bills, the the treasurer's report and bills, the department reports from October 2025, adult services, youth services, marketing and outreach, and the statistics. All right, Jen?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
And I say aye. All right, we'll start with the account listing and investment portfolio.
I just had a question and wondered if Barb could clarify. The interest payments column that you have on there. Can you tell me what the frequency is that? Because I know like the Illinois Funds report, we get a monthly interest rate.
Right.
But I didn't know about the other accounts that we have. Do you know the frequency of those?
As far as I'm aware, the FNBO checking and savings account stay the same. I haven't gotten any notice that that's been different.
Okay, so this isn't like a cumulative one, you're just putting it from whatever report we get.
From our statements. Yep.
Okay, okay. That's helpful to know. So is there any way for us to see over the course of a year what the
Yes.
total interest is?
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely. Once we were able to move everything, all of the previous CDs and special reserve accounts that we had into Illinois funds, a lot was able to be clear in my mind, like as we talked about. And that is my goal. I want to continuously do this so that we can have a chart of all the interest that we accumulate across all accounts throughout each year.
Great, thank you. And then the September is highlighted in yellow. Is that just because it's September and not October? Like
Correct.
Oh, that's all I needed. Thank you for clarifying.
Would we have a motion then to approve the account listing?
I'll move.
Thank you. We'll take a roll call.
Sorry.
Jen Penn. Okay, so that is a motion to approve the account listing, and investment portfolio. We'll take a roll call for that. Jen.
Aye.
Heather.
Aye.
Nancy.
Aye.
Jane.
Aye.
And Matthew, I say aye. Okay, next we'll go to the minutes from October 14th. Heather, did you have a question?
It just bothers me and I kept going over it, but it's probably minuscule. Number 6, the director's report, letter C, I think. Is that the taste of sandwich and the, it doesn't make sense. Unless my screen reader read it to me weird. Does that line make sense to people?
It says taste of sandwich and sandwich fair, booth participation, library trivia question wheel, and community participation.
Wait, library trivia question, what?
Wheel.
Right here.
Okay, they had a.
Yeah, right, no, I understand that. And then what did it say after that?
And community participation.
Oh. Yeah, that was my screen reader.
So
Any
it's
any
clear.
questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's clear. I'm sorry. My
Oh.
screen reader said will end. Community participation will end and it
Oh.
made no sense.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, it was saying wheel.
Yes.
Okay,
Wheel.
no, every time I read it, I heard will end and it made no sense. So
Wheel and.
I'm very sorry.
That's okay.
problem.
Would we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll move definitely.
Thank you, Heather. We'll do a roll call for that. Jane,
Aye.
sorry, I'm gonna go backwards this time, I guess. Nancy,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye,
Jen,
Aye.
and Matthew, I say aye.
I'm very sorry.
That's okay. Always better to have clarity and lingering question. Okay, we'll go to old business. Barbara's gonna talk to us about 3 things under here.
So the window replacement update, I had mentioned last month that we should be hearing in October from A&B about the windows replacement, and we have. They said it was either going to be this week or next week that they come. So I haven't heard from them this week. So I'm assuming that means next week we will have our windows replaced. So we are on schedule to get that done before the end of the year, weather permitting. And it's getting back to fall a little bit this week. So hopefully it stays good weather for us.
It's supposed to.
Yeah.
Stay good weather.
I'm hopeful that we'll be lucky.
Apparently, we don't have to worry about rain, so.
Yeah. True. All right, any questions?
No.
Okay. Moving on to the workplace kiosk update. I was able to meet with a representative from the county, and we determined that the kiosk is going to go in the center of the library, either against the pillar that has the OPAC machine on it or next to the printer station. Depending on how the size fits when it gets delivered, we'll make that determination. But everything is ready to go. It should be delivered sometime this month, and then we'll have it ready and stationed for staff training. So everybody will have an opportunity to use the machine, get the admin portal set up, learn how to use it properly before it goes live. And we are part of phase 2 launch for this program. So we're officially going to be launching this during December to February, that spread. And there's going to be 3 kiosks in Kane County, 4 in DeKalb and 4 in Kendall. So we're the southernmost end of DeKalb there. So somewhere between December and February is when that phase 2 rollout is supposed to start. So we should be good to go.
Barb,
Yeah.
can you let us know when they come and the staff gets training?
Of course.
If I'm available, I'd like to see how it works.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I told Denise Curran about this, and she's real excited to pass that information on. food, and so I wanted to get some specifics for.
I would be happy to.
Thank you.
Barb, tell me again where you think it's gonna be in the library?
It's either gonna be on the pillar that has the OPAC machine in the center, so it's the large pillar that has the charging station on it and the big TV that has our notices and then the catalog computer. It's either gonna go on the other end of that, or it's gonna go against the printer station where we have the table. So if people have papers and stuff that they want to set out and write notes on. However, the kiosk is designed to be pretty user friendly in terms of being able to send yourself jobs. So you'll be able to search for job listings all around the county, and there's ways for you to email that to yourself, or if they want to email it to us, we can print them out for them. So it should be pretty strong in the self-service category. Go from there.
Is it gonna be a standing kiosk like at Donald's?
Yes.
Oh, so you can't sit down and be comfy cozy sitting there.
I will make sure there is a chair available for anybody who wants to sit down looking.
Yeah, might be a good idea.
Yes, that's a good
A
idea.
high stool or whatever, depending on how it, figures. Will there be
That's a good-
appointments for that?
No, it should be a first come, first serve use. But if we do see an uptick of people wanting to use it and there are lines forming, we'll probably develop some sort of appointment system. We want to see how popular this gets first. And this is funded by a grant that the county received. So if this initial rollout proves successful, this might be a permanent fixture. So we're hoping for that. As soon as we get the kiosks and get staff trained on that, the 2 to 3 weeks before the official rollout for us, like the official launch, I want to do a big marketing campaign, and I'll work with the chamber and we'll post up at local businesses so everybody is aware, and the schools.
Can we send a special notice to the guidance counselor at the high school?
I don't see why not.
Might be helpful.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Well, I had 2 tonight, so that's it.
Do I write that down? Nancy had 2 items.
All you get.
Do we know where they're gonna be in the rest of the county? Where?
I know DeKalb Public Library has one. Apart from that, I'm not sure the other locations, but if you're interested, I could find out more.
I hope it's very successful.
I do too. It's really, I mean, we've had a lot of
Very
people come.
encouraged.
Good. That's what we're hoping for. Are there any other questions?
No.
Tell me again where the grant was from.
The county just got it. I'm not sure which.
County grant.
A county grant.
All I need.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Moving on to emergency action guide. We are making significant progress. I have been working really hard and taking a lot of time on trying to make a lot of the portions of the procedures more consistent with each other. A lot of the line items that we had in there, like the steps, said the same thing, but in different ways as I was going about building them. So I just wanted to formalize that process and make sure all of the wording and the vernacular flowed effectively and efficiently, so it would kind of become pretty habitual for staff. And then we were able to figure out the electrical components where the main shutoffs are. I had to call somebody in to help me make sure I was finding the right places. So that's all confirmed. So I'm just adding in those pictures and we should be good to go. I'm going to be sending Julie the last version of my most updated draft, and she's going to go through one more time with grammatical edits. And then once that's complete, we can go in for a vote. And so we're coming up real close.
Excellent, thank you.
Every time I see it, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it took a lot of time. More time than I thought, but hopefully it will be useful.
Great. Okay, next we'll move to our next item on the agenda, which is our director's report. Barb has a handful of things to share with us here.
Yes, so the Heartland CD was closed and all of the funds have been transferred to Illinois funds. So we are all set and updated with all of our accounts there, which is great. Thank you, Jane, for going with me to close that account.
Welcome.
Any questions? Okay. Moving on to the next section, which is the Senate Resolution number 104. This was sent by the Secretary of State, Alexi Julianis. hope I pronounced that correctly. It messes me up every time. And this is a governmental document that formed, its function is more of a high suggestion. It's not official law to follow, but it is a big suggestion from the state that all library board trustees have efficient training to be able to produce their role well with knowledge and understanding what libraries are, what their purpose is, so everybody can be on the same foundational understanding of purpose for the library. So I wanted to share that with all of our board. There's no action that needs to be taken. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
Can I share some information?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that, I attended a Zoom, let's see, I wrote my notes here on earlier this month it was called Be the Best Trustee You Can Be. And it was presented by the Heartland Library System. The person that is coordinating this presentation her name was Leanne Furby. So she is the coordinator for this iLead program. And I did share a little bit of this with Matthew, but she spent an hour, there was an hour, and she gave information at record speed. It was like a lot. And Heartland Library System received a grant to put this whole iLead program together so that trustees can visit this portal. And as I was sharing with Matthew, this has everything that you would ever want in one place. It is amazing. My head was spinning by the time I got done with this 1 hour of Be the Best You Can Be. And she was trying to explain what this iLead trustee learning portal was all about. What's going to happen is they are rolling out monthly information webinars for trustees that are interested to learn how to access the portal and everything that's in it. And so the address for this is www.ilead.trustee.org. When you go to that website, it's going to link you to your L2 account, which I don't know if everybody on the board has an L2 account. That's that training account through Rails. And that's where your dashboard and everything is going to be, is in that L2 account. So going forward, I would encourage anybody that would like to be the best that you can be, to explore the learning portal. It has all the links that, we have in our orientation manual, Barb, all those different links for, the different resources that trustees can access. It's all in one place. And so they're going to be doing a lot of these trainings on a monthly basis going forward. And so I think if you go into that website, hopefully it will guide you through, and you can create an L2 account if you don't already have one, and then link into a lot of things that they're offering. They are having their first, well, at least the first that I'm aware of, a webinar this Saturday. And it's going to be from 8:30 to 9:30. And it's going to be an informational on the portal. But then they're going to be having that same webinar every month for the next several months. So it's not just a one time. I got a badge for completing my first lesson to be the best that I can be. And you're all encouraged to get your badge. So
love a badge.
so that is, I think it's really, I've been on the board a long time. And it was like, this is amazing that everything would be in one place to access, if you had any kind of question. They put a lot of work into this. So I encourage everybody to get involved with it if you can.
Thank you, Jane.
Yeah,
You're welcome. And I don't know how to write all that down.
I took some notes. I wrote down the link. So I'll send an email out to everybody so you can have easy access to the training portal.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
And you have an account if you've already accessed some of the training.
You should, if you go, you have an L2 account
I don't know.
in Rails.
No,
I'll
I don't
add
think
that.
I do. I don't.
Yeah.
I will add that in my email.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because that's where they're gonna track everything is through your L2 account.
And who put this all together?
The Heartland Library System, I believe is that in central Illinois, Barb? Or southern Illinois?
Southern.
I think, yeah,
South of me,
yeah. South.
everything South of me.
Okay, so,
That'd
okay,
be a
that's it,
Great way to respond to the resolution from the Illinois Senate.
right.
So thank you for that information. Okay, Barb, you want to talk to us about the swing bed program?
I'd be happy to. All right. So currently we are in our soft launch for the swing bed program at the hospital. It began Monday. The soft launch is going to last for a 2-week phase. And we're going to see how this goes, see how the patients interact with the program, fix any bugs or issues that we might encounter. And then if all goes well and the hospital and the library want to proceed moving forward with this program, we'll do an official launch at the Rural Health Day on November 20th. And I would be at the booth with Northwestern Hospital at the event. And we'll provide all the new information there about this program. So I'm hoping it's going to work. It's only Tuesday, so not much time has happened since this started, but the feedback so far is that all the staff really love the idea, but the patients have yet to request any additional items. I did bring over a cart full of books from the book sale that can just be forever there. And if they want a new selection, I can switch those out. But if they wanted something specific, we created a special organization card for the hospital, of which they could check out whatever they want, and a hospital staff member would come pick up the items for them, deliver them to the patients. And that can be whatever they're looking for, if it's audiobooks or music or movies, books, anything. So hopefully they'll get more comfortable with that and we'll see more active use. Any questions?
Not about that, but could you explain a little bit about the Rural Health Day?
Jane, do you have those?
Is this the wrong time to ask?
Yeah, I put some flyers out on the counter. It's kind of like an open house where they have booths, kind of like a health fair. And you go around in different departments at the hospital. I think the park district is also going to be there.
Yeah.
And the fire department. And I think it's just to try to bring all those services into the hospital and showcase some of the departments in the hospital, where, what you can get done and how you can get it done.
And there's some information on it.
Yeah,
On
it's,
the counter?
it's from 2 to 6, I think.
Mhm.
and,
Yep, on November 20th.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
you're welcome.
So moving forward with the boundless transition, this is very intense. So last month, did we talk about Baker and Taylor, the abrupt closure?
Mhm.
So unfortunately, Baker and Taylor was the host for the library's e-read collection through the brand new Boundless app that we had for about a year. before we had to say farewell to it again. However, I want to give a giant shout out to Rails and Prairie Cat and everyone at the Palace Project for all the hard work that they've been doing, because this transition is something that usually could take half a year to a year easy, and somehow they're doing it in a manner of like 1 month, 1 to 2 months. And so there will be some changes. However, ultimately, the entire e-read collection is going to be transferred from the Boundless app to a new app called Palace. There will be push notifications in the Boundless app that direct patrons on how this is going to proceed. As of November 2nd, you are no longer allowed to check anything out, so patrons should be aware of this now. But they built the timeline so that it would leave patrons with enough time to finish the books and items that they had originally checked out, which was very considerate. December 2nd is launch for Palace Project.
But that's when you get cut off for checkouts. You said November.
Pause really quick. I want to make sure I'm giving everyone the correct information. Yes, last day for checkout was November 2nd. Which is what I said, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So last day for checkout is and this is coming straight from the e-read Palace Project marketing materials that they gave me. So if that's wrong, we'll have to talk to them. I'll double check. But what they gave me, it says November 2nd is last day for checkout. November 17th is when the Boundless app goes officially defunct. And then December 2nd is when Palace Project app officially launches. So there will be a period of a couple weeks there where there is no access to e-read. But after that, the Palace Project will be available. Some major things to consider. They will not transfer your read history. So if you want to keep that, write it down, make yourself a log. It's very important to a lot of people. I'm one of them. So make sure that you write all of that down because it will not transfer. Another thing that will not transfer is any holds. So if you have holds, and I really apologize for any books that are coming out or items that are coming out, and you've been on the hold waiting list and you were like number 3, and now there's 100 people after you. I am so sorry. You have to do it all over again. These are one of the prices we have to pay. But alas, at least we'll have an app available immediately with all of these accessible books. So that's essentially where we're at right now. And are there any questions?
When is the app available to download, the new Palace app?
You can download Palace right now. It's a well-utilized library app all over. Our consortium is just joining into it now. You just will not be able to find and log into our library until then.
Is it spelled the normal way?
Yes, PALACE. Yes. Any other questions?
Nope.
Excellent.
All good.
Moving on. Last thing for me. All right. So I know that everybody is aware of what's been going on in the United States with SNAP. The SNAP program is not being funded. And I didn't feel right sitting by as a library and a community hub doing nothing about that. So me and staff have put together a food donation bin and a program essentially where we will be a drop-off site for donations because many of the food pantries around here are only open like 1 day a month or two times a month. And so we wanted to make sure we could get access to sustenance sooner than that. So we have a donation bin set up and I've already dropped off a whole carload of donations that people have brought in. And our plan right now is that people will drop off donations and I will drop it off to the local food pantries, the ones that will be open as early as possible. I also added a web page on our website that provides information on all of the local food pantries that are in our county, along with their addresses, their phone numbers, their emails, and when they're open for donations and for pickup. There's also information about the Northern Illinois Food Bank. and DeKalb County, and Kendall County areas. We also have the diaper drive information up there. So there's information for anybody who is in search of food, but there's also information for people who are looking for places to donate and suggestions on what to donate, along with a lot of items that you don't normally think of that are often missed. Like, for example, people donate canned foods all the time. They're shelf stable, they last a long time, they're really good for that. They're useless if you don't have a can opener. So that's a really good suggestion for a donation, as a can opener. And also hygiene products, female hygiene products, toothpaste, toothbrush, shampoo, conditioner, shelf stable, everything. So there's suggestion lists on our webpage for that as well. Depending on how this goes, I might consider making this a permanent thing for us and have it function similar to a little free library where leave some, take some as needed. And there's a lot to build around that plan, but it's something I'm considering, and I want to talk with staff, and I'd like you guys to mull that over and let me know your thoughts on it as well. And maybe we could build something where we could have a permanent pantry kind of going, or assisting in different ways with other local pantries and building some sort of process around that. My plan also, if this is not going to be permanent, is I'm planning to run this drive until SNAP benefits are consistently refunded, because we don't know how long that's going to be. Holidays are right around the corner. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. So I just want it to be available and consistent in the community's mind that we're here. We also are running the Franklin Mall Food Project, that food drive. That's happening right now. And I am in communication with Karen Spangler, who's the contact from the Lions Club for that program. Wanted to make sure she understood where we were coming from with this and work together to offer multiple types of donations. And I want to see if she'd be interested in doing like a combined marketing tactic where we could come together and kind of form a collaboration between our two organizations, not just be a drop-off point for them, but actively assist in this project. So the Franklin Mall Food Project mostly focuses on the holiday time of year to help supply meals and food for family get-togethers and holidays. Our food drive is more general, hopefully more long-term, so we'll run past that, but I do not want Franklin Mall to unintentionally not get as many donations as they would have normally, because we're also doing this. So we're working on that balance. I'm working with Karen to make sure that we're both comfortable with how this is running.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Or that's truly community library.
Because I was in the outdoors and I now have 4 extra candles.
Yeah, and
So guess what?
we want to provide access to information, but if you're hungry, you don't want to read, you want to eat. So thank you. That's support. All right, thank you for that report. We'll move on
One
to.
more thing,
Oh, yeah.
do you have a list of, like you mentioned some things here? Do you have a list on the website, that would indicate, all those things? Okay.
Yep. There's a slideshow on the homepage where if you click it, it will lead you directly to the web page, and it'll have all of that information.
Very good.
Great. Okay, moving on to our new business for the evening. First is to notice that we did receive the resignation of a board member, Nancy Schroeder, submitted her resignation. Barb, is there anything you want to say about that or need to say about that?
All I want to say is we did receive this a few weeks ago, a little bit of time ago, and I have uploaded information on the website prior to this board meeting, because it was mentioned in a public comment, like to be considerate of making sure we're not appointing the same time we're announcing. We did post on the website that we did have a resignation, and there's a slideshow that says, do you want to join the library board? And it has all the information on how to do that. We have also been word of mouth communicating with different community members that we think would fill that appointment effectively and efficiently. So that's all.
Yep. Okay, next we'll move on to an action item to approve resolution 25-02. That's the 2025 IMRF Executive Trustee Election Ballot cast. Barb's gonna share with us about this information.
Yes, first of all, I want to apologize because in your packet, I scanned this as a PDF and tried to convert it to Word and Word didn't like that very much. It came up with a whole new language that none of us speak. So,
I actually speak it because that happens a lot to me.
yeah,
Actually
quite
speak it
fluent.
well,
You
yeah.
have to teach the rest of us.
Translate.
No, because, we'll end,
Oh,
then,
okay.
then maybe not.
So this is a special election for one executive trustee spot on IMRF. There are two people running. And I wanted particularly to vote in this because there's a colleague in the library world of mine who is running, who I think would be a great asset to this team and be able to bring in a unique perspective that a lot of large corporations and finance-minded organizations don't tend to have. So I think she would make a really good asset to this team. And so I would like to suggest the board signs this resolution to vote for Megan Gove in this election. I am the authorized agent for IMRF, which means I can go in and I am essentially the person that's the primary contact for the library's account with IMRF. However, there are little sticky small situations where, like for elections, you have to have some setting changed if the board wants to allow the authorized agent to be able to cast votes in elections on behalf of the library without a board resolution. We have this for the general election for IMRF, but for specific ones like this, it requires a resolution. So I'd like to request a motion from the board to approve the vote for Megan Gove on this executive trustee position for IMRF, as well as to authorize the library director as the designated IMRF agent to cast votes for this election in IMRF.
Okay, let's have a motion, and then if there's conversation, we can do that. Would anyone want to move to approve resolution 25-02, which would be the 2025 IMRF executive trustee election ballot to cast our vote for Megan Go. Thank you. Anyone make that motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, any discussion or questions for Barb about this? All right, I'm gonna do roll call because this is a thing I've never done before, so just to be safe.
I'm trying to get a grip on this.
Okay,
Yeah, so tell me what the motion was.
the motion is to approve resolution 25-02,
Okay.
Yeah. which would be to vote for Megan Gove for IMRF executive trustee.
How do you spell Megan's last name?
Gove.
Gove for IMRF trustee.
Mhm. Executive trustee.
Executive trustee. I guess my question is this, Barb, you explained that this is unusual to bring this to our board?
So
We've never done this before.
we don't have to vote.
Oh.
Previous elections, other directors may not have voted, or I may not have been the authorized agent. Because remember when that took a little bit of time to transfer me into the authorized agent position with IMRF. So when I received the ballot, this was one I cared about personally, and I care about all elections now and forevermore. But so it's interesting because they're running two elections right now, one for the executive trustee, and I believe one is for like the general board. And I got the general board one that came strictly to my house, and I believe it's because I am an IMRF person, like I have an personal account with IMRF. However, this vote would be as an authorized agent for the library, representing the library's vote. Does that make sense?
Okay, so the resolution to vote for Megan Gove, the board is actually voting on her. I'm just trying to figure out how to word this. Are we,
In the minutes or?
In the minutes.
What we're doing?
well, I'm
In
both.
minutes,
okay,
it
both.
could just say vote on resolution number 2502, because all of the specific information is already in the resolution that would be signed by the secretary once approved. And it reads, it's appropriate that the board of the Sandwich Public Library exercises its right to vote in the 2025 IMRF executive trustee election. Now therefore be it resolved that the board of the library, the Sandwich Public Library District, gives its vote in the 2025 IMRF executive trustee election for a 3-year term of office to Megan Go.
Okay,
That's very helpful. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
thank you.
This is,
That-
you should have
Yeah,
had,
yeah,
but was
yeah.
a different language.
Yeah.
okay, I got it.
Yeah, that makes
Do
it
you want-
clear.
For-
I
you
might,
wanna look at it?
Yeah. Thank you. That's good clarity. Thanks for asking this question and pulling that out. Yeah. good.
Of course.
Anyone other questions before I call for a vote? Okay, we're gonna take a roll call vote. Jen Penn, Heather Lee, Nancy Sanders,
Aye.
Jane Wolf,
Aye.
Matthew Jones, I say aye. All right, we'll move on to our next action item, which is to approve ordinance 25-04, which is the fiscal year 25 to 26 levy ordinance and secretary certificates. Barb, what would you like us, well, let me see, do I have a motion to approve ordinance 25-04?
I move.
Thank you,
I'll make that
Heather.
motion.
Thank you. So we have a motion from Heather to approve ordinance 25-04.
I'm sorry, I
You're
need to go
okay.
back to
Yeah.
02. Who made that motion? For,
Jen made a motion for resolution 2502.
Thank you.
Yep,
that's all.
good, yep. And then Heather's making a motion to approve ordinance 25-04. So do we have discussions or questions?
I just would like to, sorry, my computer just told me it's dying. So this is the levy, which happens every single year, and this is what we submit to the county to break down the funds, what we're requesting that we receive in property taxes. That funds our library for the next year. I ran all of these numbers and there were no special circumstances this year that would require a truth in taxation hearing, so we didn't have to do that. I finished all the numbers and I sent them to Bill over at Newkirk, our accountants, to make sure they were accurate, and he said that they all looked good. So this is pretty cut and dry, same process as usual.
All right.
It's at a 4.98% increase request,
Okay,
which the cap is 5%.
any questions or discussion?
In going through the levy, can you tell us, I know Barb, at one point we said we don't need to levy for the insurance, and that becomes a $0 out amount. Is just because I know we used to years ago, but
Was it prior to the building, the new building?
no. We used to, and I remember us having a conversation about dropping that part of the levy, but I'm just curious if the language is there and we're not levying for insurance, is there a reason?
We've never levied for it as long as I've been here. And Bill at Newkirk has never suggested we change anything. So I don't really have a direct answer for you with that, because I don't understand. I probably understand as much as you do about it.
Okay.
But that is something I can ask him and learn more about for.
I was just curious if the line item is there. I mean, obviously, we've been paying our insurance, but, and Bill didn't indicate that there was anything, that should go in that. I'm just curious as to why that's there. Yeah.
I am not.
That's a great
sure.
question.
I always had assumed it was due to the building, the new building, and somehow that was covered in bonds. That was an assumption. That was based off nothing.
I don't know.
And nobody's asked me that question before, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay,
I don't know
Would-
why we took it out.
Is that something we'll look into for next year? Would that prevent me from voting tonight or?
Not at all.
Okay, okay.
I was just curious. I mean, obviously, if it's been looked over and said everything's okay, I just was curious as to why there would be an area
Mhm.
that's in the levy that we
Would it-
dollar out,
Mhm.
that we zero out, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And what, I don't know.
Those are the 5 categories that you're allowed to levy for.
Mhm.
So we always put it in there as an acknowledgement of that. I know that at least. I don't know why we zero it out.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
There's a reason
Yeah.
somewhere.
If you wanted Barb to look into that and let us know what you learned, that would be great.
I'm fine with voting on the levy. I just
Okay.
would, out of curiosity, would wonder why that, you know, what other places do with that line item.
Uh-huh.
And we're in such a better place financially now that now's the time we can ask those questions and kind of look deeper
Mhm.
in this.
Yeah.
And we understand levy.
Mhm.
We understand levy. It took 5 years, but we got there.
Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote. We're gonna do roll call. Jen?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Matthew, I say aye. All right, next we have an action item, to close the library for, December 26, 2025 Christmas holiday. Do we have a motion to do that?
I'll move.
Okay, thank you, Heather. Now discussion. Any discussion or questions?
I have lots of questions.
All right.
I hope I have answers for
Well,
you.
first of all, let me just say, I have in the past had the advantage of having December 26th off. So I understand the argument, but I do have lots of questions both ways. So first of all, we had already discussed this idea once before, and I found in our January 14th, 2024 minutes that it stated holiday closing date discussion. After reviewing the data, Barb is retracting the request for closing the library on December 26th. It would not be beneficial for the community to close the library on that day. So I'm just curious, first of all, why we revisiting this after that? Yeah, so let's start there. Okay, and then I'll continue down my list.
Okay. So the reason why I'm bringing it back is because this is a slightly modified request. Last year's request was just for that singular year because it fell in the middle of the week where we would the staff would only have 2 days off for the Christmas holiday, and then they'd have to come back for work for 1 or 2 days. I believe it fell on Tuesday, Wednesday, and this year it's Wednesday, Thursday. So I was just asking for that specific day, not for that year, not for an annual closure to adjust the entire annual list of holiday closures. That's what I'm requesting for this year. So it's slightly different in that way. And another reason why I pulled that discussion last time was because we hadn't done enough research. I had requested it, but there was no research done. You guys had asked me a lot of questions and I did a minor amount of research on it. And what I found back, I was like, I believed it was too late to do anything about that, because if that was January, that means that was discussed in December. So there was just no time. It happened very quickly. This year, I modified the request to consider closing on the 26th forever, having it be like a Christmas holiday for 24, 25, and 26. That would just be a consistent thing that the staff would get regularly and can expect regularly. And then I did do much more research. I looked back 5 years, and I think last year I only did 3. I don't remember correct. I don't fully remember what last year's research was, but I also posted a blast on the director's listserv, and I got many responses that I forwarded over asking other libraries if they do close on the 26th. And some of those responses were honestly quite surprising to me, because the vast consensus was no, they don't close on the 26th. However, a lot of libraries did other things to allow staff to maybe take that or provide different ways, like floating holidays where they could take that holiday, birthday holidays. So I got more information back than I kind of anticipated. And I did write in that email that I knew that this was not a common practice in libraries, but I still wanted to request it, because just because it's not common doesn't mean it's not valuable. And just thinking about it, like, every time this occurs, we always have staff take off. So almost every single time, there's only 2 people working, and it's the 2 people who did not submit their request in time, essentially, to have that day off. So it's short staff day. And usually, if it's the day immediately after Christmas, like the 26th, we see people come in, but it is slower than it is on an average day, or like an average day when we see a patron count. So our normal patron count is roughly anywhere between 100 and 150 people per day. On the days of the 26th, I believe for the statistics that I pulled, it's on average like 60 to 90. So there's still, is that right? No.
No,
What does it say?
we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years with log stats. And only, well, the lowest was 62 and then 99, and the rest fell between the 100 to 150. So
But
99
those
seem statistically significant. And I know you broke it out with where the holiday fell.
right, because there was the extra day off. So that means there's an extra day of people having things, wanting to return things, or getting ready to come back post-holiday. That's an assumption, it's not a fact, but
No, the 3-day was the 62 when there were 3 days closed.
what's the subject heading of that email that I sent?
I copied it into my Word document right now. So, I mean, we can talk about the stats. I just didn't see the statistical significance of that, because most of the numbers were falling into, it was under director's question, holiday closure, Tuesday, October 28th. But let me just go to my other questions too.
Okay.
And, so the stats did raise some questions for me as well. With the other libraries, I did read through some of their responses as well. One of the libraries gave you a very lengthy response into how their practices, and that was only giving paid holiday to full-time staff, and that part-time employees would get those off as unpaid holidays. Again, East Peoria was full-time paid only, but I noticed they're also open on Sundays, so that would maybe play into their decision. One library was only in a town with a population of 1,500 people. One that had 17,000 people said, no, we don't close. In Sauk Village had 9,000 was their population. They were closing because of lack of funds. And then Johnsburg said they close on the 26th, but then they're open on New Year's Eve. So that was kind of a trade-off. So that was just interesting, the factors that went into their decisions in the various libraries. I guess one of the concerns I have is if we were a privately owned business, I wouldn't think twice about this and say, let's just go ahead and do it. But because we are publicly funded, that introduces another factor into the decision making here. Now, one pro that I did see in giving the 26th off is, unlike the Thanksgiving holiday, where we're giving off the day after Thanksgiving, that only ever benefits the people who work on Fridays. Whereas Christmas and New Year's, it changes what day of the week it's on. So everybody at some point is going to benefit from this. But there again, it all depends on, it's a lot of part-time staff here. And are we facing just that's the nature of part-time work, that your holidays fall when they fall? And then I had questions about if it's the case that Christmas is on a Sunday, aren't we closed on Monday?
In observance, yeah.
Yeah, so then would we, if the 26th falls on a Sunday, would we then give Monday off? And then how, is this stack of dominoes? But then how do we make those decisions? If we make a change, how do we make a change that will impact all employees and not just those scheduled on a certain day? Are we talking paid or unpaid? I agree that this is a perk that can be offered that's not salary based, which we're looking for opportunities for doing that. And then in your email, it said communicating that the closure supports staff rest and family time can reinforce the library's image as a compassionate, community-minded employer, though it's possible that this may have the opposite effect. So I didn't know what you meant by that.
A lot of the things that we do sometimes in the past year have shown me that that the decisions that we're making that are community minded have received significant backlash from people who disagree. So that was more of a comment to prepare for potential backlash in that kind of scenario, even though overall my personal feelings on it would that it would be more beneficial, and that if it was a consistent closure, the community would be informed and they would understand. So they would just automatically know, okay, we don't need to come. They wouldn't be disappointed if it was 1 year versus another versus different, if it was staggered. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So as you can see, I have lots of questions.
That's okay. Questions are good.
I honestly don't know where I land on it. Now I saw that that it's already been marketed, that the library will be closed for the 24th and 25th this year. So this decision isn't for this year then?
The intention was, but we're not gonna market it if it's not approved by the board. But it's the board's decision. This is my request. It's the board's decision when you want to implement it, if you want to implement it this year, next, whichever. That's up to you.
My understanding of the motion that Heather just made is that it would be for 2025.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, Jen raised some interesting questions. I'm of the same mind. I'm like, I want to thank you for suggesting that you take off for my birthday. I appreciate that very much. However, it raises a lot of questions about who gets it off and part-time, full-time, paid, not paid. I don't, I don't know where I really stand. I guess I really come down on the side of how busy are we? I think, and I personally am not ready to approve it for this year. That's just.
That's okay. I think one of the things as I was looking at the information was, and again, trying to think about the public and the availability of the library being open, the fact that, we've got Christmas and then we've got New Year's bang right after that. So now we've got, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. And if we took New Year, the day after Christmas, that would be the 3 days. And then we go right into New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, which is, and not even a week later where we have 3 more days or 2 more days off. So I guess that concerns me that we're not, that we, are not being available to the public because there are 2 weeks of holidays where there'd be 5 days off within 2 weeks. Five days off. That's a lot to be closed. It's true that people are celebrating during those days, so we definitely want to